There are three things keeping you from being seen, and one of them, you may not even realize it's happening. Hi, I'm Wendeley Lavopi, and I'm a brand photographer and creative director based in Northern New Jersey. And I have spent the last 20 years between corporate branding, employer branding, strategy, and running my own photography business. And during all of that, I have been studying this one thing: why brilliant, accomplished, hardworking women are almost completely invisible online. They have plenty to say, they have plenty to show, but something is quietly holding them back from fully being seen. And today I want to talk about three of those things in a I see you, I have sat across from you, and I want to name what is actually happening kind of way. Because the first step to being seen is understanding what is keeping you hidden. So let's dive in. The first thing keeping you from being seen is time. At least that is what you tell me. I want to share something a client told me before we started working together. She had been running her business for 4 years successfully, booked out, referrals coming in consistently, but her online presence was a mess. Her photos were outdated, her feed was inconsistent. She had a website that still had old headshots from 3 years ago. And I asked her why she hadn't updated any of it. She said, I just haven't had the time. And so I believed her, but I also knew that she had made time for everything else that felt urgent. The client deliverables, the school pickups, the team meetings, the proposals, the follow-ups, the social media posts that she threw together last minute. She had made time for all of it. Made time for was herself. And I don't say that as criticism. Of us have been conditioned to put ourselves at the bottom of the list, to treat our own visibility as the thing we get to do when everything else is done. But the problem with that is that everything else is never done. So visibility keeps getting pushed. One more month, one more quarter, one more season. And meanwhile, the version of you that exists right now, the most experienced, the most evolved, the most capable version of you that has ever existed is not being documented, is not being captured. So time is not the problem, prioritization is. And I say that gently because I know that shifting the priority feels selfish when you have a business to run, when you're raising a family, and you have thousands of things competing for your attention. But here's what I want you to consider. Every hour you spend showing up online with photos that do not reflect who you are today, you are making your job harder. That means longer sales cycles. That means more convincing. That means more working to overcome the gap between the woman your words describe and the woman your photos show. Investing in a few hours in a brand session or a legacy shoot gives your business a visual foundation that it needs to work harder for you while you focus on everything else. So maybe time isn't the problem, maybe it's overwhelm. And this one's a little bit sneaky because sometimes it feels like perfectionism. Sometimes it feels like indecision. Sometimes it feels like I don't even know where to start. So I'm not going to start at all. And let me tell you about another woman that I worked with because she came to me after 2 years of thinking about doing a photo session. 2 years. In those 2 years, she had collected tons of inspiration. She had a Pinterest board, she had some save posts, and she had a general idea of what she wanted. But every single time she got close to booking, something came up. Something stopped her. Sound familiar? She wasn't sure which outfits to wear. She wasn't sure what locations to choose. She wasn't sure if she had to rebrand first or shoot first. She wasn't sure if her website was ready to receive the photos. She just wasn't sure if her offer was dialed in enough to know what story the photos needed to tell. So she wasn't avoiding the shoot. She was drowning in decisions around the shoot. And so she stayed exactly where she was, which, if you've ever been there, you know is exhausting. You are not resting, you are not moving, you are spinning, carrying the weight of your indecisions with you wherever you go, into every conversation that you show up. The overwhelm that you are feeling when you're thinking about your brand is not a sign that you're not ready. It is a sign that you've been trying to do this alone. Brand photography, when done well, is not a transaction. It is a collaboration. It starts long before you ever step in front of a lens. It starts with a conversation about who you are, what you're building, who you are building it for, what this season of your life actually looks like. And when you have the right person walking alongside you through the entire process, the decisions stop feeling overwhelming because you're not making them alone. The outfits, the locations, the stories, the strategy, that's my job. Your job is to show up and have a great time. So maybe it's not time. Maybe it's not overwhelmed. Maybe it's that you don't even realize that you are building a legacy. This is a big one. This block lives underneath almost everything else because most of the women that I work with don't even realize that they are the legacy. They think legacy is something that happens to other people, to public figures, to people whose names get spoken in rooms that they have never even been in. They think legacy is about fame or scale or being recognized by strangers. And so they watch from the sidelines what other people get documented, what other people get photographed, other people get their stories told. And so they keep building quietly, consistently, and sacrificially, convinced that what they are doing is not significant enough to be captured. So let me tell you another story. Last week, I had the privilege of photographing someone at an event here in New Jersey. And I'm not going to share too many of the details because the work hasn't been published yet. But what I want to say is that I was sitting in this room watching this person being trusted to document this moment. And I felt something that I didn't expect to feel. It wasn't excitement and it wasn't a creative rush that I usually get during a session. It was something quieter. I felt the weight of what I was holding. This person is a legacy to the people here in New Jersey, but also across the NFL, but more importantly, to his family. And long after this afternoon, when it becomes a distant memory, they will all gather and look at these photos and see him as who he is today in that moment, fully alive, doing the thing that he felt so pulled to do. And what an incredible gift. It's the proof. And so when I drove home, I sat with that thought. Here's what kept coming back to me. He is not the only legacy that was in that room. I am one of those legacies, and so are you. And so we live in a world that has decided who gets to be documented. It's the athletes, it's the executives, the celebrities, the public figures. And then there's the rest of us quietly building, quietly sacrificing, quietly making decisions every single day that are changing the trajectory of our families forever. Nobody is sending a photographer to capture that. Nobody is making sure that the woman who woke up at 5 a.m. to work on her business before her kids woke up got captured. The woman who took the sales call scared, but she did it anyway. The woman who said yes to herself when everything around her was saying to wait. Nobody is making sure that she is documented, that she is captured. And so I want to ask you something. When your daughter or your son or someone who loves you so very much, when they look back at this season of your life, what are they going to find? What proof exists that you were here doing the thing you love, changing the lives that you changed, building the business that you've built? That this version of you right now existed and showed up fully because you are somebody's legacy. The only difference between the person I photographed that day and most of the women that I know is that his moments are being captured professionally, intentionally, in a way his family will hold on to forever. Yours deserves the same. So I photographed two kinds of women. Woman who is ready to show up for her business, who knows her brand needs to catch up with who she has become, who has invested in her coaching, in her systems, in her strategy, and is ready for her presence to finally match her new level. And also the woman who is ready to document her legacy, who understands that the story she is living in right now deserves to be preserved for her family, for her daughters, for the version of her life that exists 20 years from now because of the decision that she is making today. So here's what I want you to hear. Both of these women are building a legacy, whether she realizes it or not. And if you've been watching this and something in you has been nodding, or maybe you recognized yourself in the waiting, if you felt something when I talked about legacy, I want to talk to you, not on a sales call, but a genuine conversation about who you are right now, about what this season of your life deserves to look like, about what it would mean for your business and your family to finally be seen clearly and completely. You can find me on the link below, wendeleyphotography.com. There's a contact page there. Fill it out. Tell me where you are, tell me what you are building, and let's figure out together what it looks like for you to finally be seen.